Faina, Faina. Class background. My parents haven't been workers. They've been more kind of like a professional. Like my mother was like a bookkeeper, you know, my father, I don't even remember, to be honest. When I was born in 1946. That's already after the Second World War. The reason for coming to the United States, well, freedom. This is number one. Then, you know, we are Jewish, and over there it was quite high anti-Semitism, but it was in the air, it was in general. But main reason, I just want to get out of there. I could not stand it. Okay, and first of all, my daughter, Erica's mother, she was small, and I wanted to have better future for her, because over there I did not see a future for her. Opinion of Soviet Union. Opinion? Hell. And unfortunately, this virus is spread all over the world. It's in our country, over here in America as well, with our beloved president. And when I see the sign, even the smallest sign of socialism, that make me very, very worried, if not saying sick. The socialism, communism, whatever you call it, it's not working, okay? People cannot be equal. I do not believe in equality. We are not equal. We're born different. Somebody smarter, somebody less smarter, somebody more active, somebody less, somebody lazy, somebody is hardworking, and they have to live according what they've been given by birth, what they acquire by their ability. This is why one is here, one is there. You cannot balance them. It's impossible. People are different. Some people are think, they have ability to think. Some people don't. For example, if I would tell you, this is red color, you said, okay, it's red. Another person said, oh, why it's red? The memory, just being outside, more, you know, we did not have that time, we did not have TV, right. We did not have anything at home, so the old time was spent outside, climbing trees, jumping, and I remember, you know what we did? We jumped from one roof to another. Now when I'm thinking of that, oh my God! And that we try to prove that we're able to. Every summer in the camp, which I hated, passionately hated, they always forced me to do what I did not like to do. And always you have to go, not kind of, it's not even a discipline, it's like you try, you know, like, let's say you take people different height, yeah, and then you put one line, made them the same. They try to make everybody the same. They try to tell you what you have to think, what you have to love, what you have to hate. This is black, this is white, this is you have to, this you don't have to, period. You know, you have to go like in military, you know. So everything was forced on you. And this is, I had some kind of inner, resented everything. I always wanted to do like, leave me alone. Actually, the one thing you see in the Soviet Union, especially communist society, they try to, first of all, the main thing, to develop a new human being, like they call Homo Sovieticus, you know. They have to brainwash you. It's called Ukrainian State University. Then you married in the same town, you died in the same town. the old friends gathering in somebody's apartment, listening to music. When we're talking about the music, because we could not get records in the store. But some people who are working, they went out in another country, and they brought record, and they re-recorded, on the film, X-ray film. On X-ray film, they recorded those foreign records. And that's when we were listening, because sometimes at the record and you see somebody's, skeleton, bones and everything, and we recorded, that what recorded records on that. Dating is a dating, it's the same in every country, doesn't matter, even communist. I married when I was 18, when I was 19, Marina was born. I was dreaming about like working like a translator, or working with a tourist, like a guide, but because I was a Jew, I could not work I could not have that kind of job. I knew how to sew. Actually, when I was 12 years old, I learned how to sew. And when I was 20, like I said, when I was 18, I got married. When I was 23, I divorced my husband. And a year later, my father died, so I had my mother, which was sick in Marina, because she was 5 years old that time. And I started beside my work. I was sewing at home. I had like private customers, and I made pretty good money comparing to the rest of the people, Living, apartments are small, very small. But it's cheap. The rent wasn't expensive. It was like a 10%, even less than 10% of your salary. And this is rent. That's what you rent, as long as you live there. It's because apartment, it wasn't private. It was government apartment,
Yeah.
Because nobody has private buildings. So the rent was cheap. Utilities were cheap. The most expensive were food. All of this, heat, electricity, it was peanuts. So it's not even, 15% of your salary, 15% cover all your living expenses. I mean, rent, utility, everything. But food, sometimes like 50% of your salary. Food is very expensive. I would say it's kind of miracle. It's the same way, like very, very, very big anti-Semitism start in Soviet Union after the Second World War. When you leave Soviet Union, you come to Austria, we came to Vienna. It's a free war. Then you can select where you want to go. You can go to any free country which accept refugee. They actually, they offer me go to Canada because I knew French language and age. No, unfortunately, my mother died on the way. She died in Vienna. We buried her there. She had stroke, and me and Marina, two of us, and it's not directly from Austria to United States. From Austria, we had to go to Italy. And in Italy, we were sitting for 3 months waiting entering visa to the United States. So this way we came here. And we came here, we didn't have anyone. Actually, another thing, everybody had a passport. Over here we have a passport. Are we taking too long time now?
No.
No? Over here we have a passport for what? For travel. We need passport to travel. Over there, everybody at the age of 16, you receive passport. That passport is your ID. When you come to work, they put stamp in your passport. When you leave your work, they put stamp in your passport. When you get married, they put stamp in your passport. You divorce, they put stamp in your passport. Where you live in this address, they put stamp. Then you live here and here. You cannot move from one city to another. For example, we live in Kiev. If we'd like, we want to move to Moscow, we can, because we won't be able to live over there. We're never going to get a job over there because we not belong there. You live where you live. You see, at the time when I live, actually, you can to profess your religion, you can. But the problem is the country from 1917 was atheistic. Nobody believed in anything. A lot of churches been destroyed. When I was 4 years old, I asked Mom, why table call a table and chair call a chair? My mom looked at me. You know what? When you grow up, you're going to read, you're going to know. So, surviving life in Gulag, thanks God I was born after Stalin was, no, Stalin died in 1953. I was 7 years old. I remember it was like, you know, it was like a national tragedy. It was like people was crying. They were thinking that people for whom it is what it is. Like father died. How are we going to live further, you know? And my father was imprisoned when I was 4 years old in 1950. He was imprisoned. He was sentenced for 25 years. When Stalin died, it was a general amnesty. And then, like, you know, from here to there, it takes time. In 1950, after his death, in 1956, he returned home. In 1959, then only he been totally, he got totally rehabilitation. So they took away all the charges, everything. I read about Gulag a lot. I heard from my father, and that's a horror. You see, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to explain to person who it's beyond comprehension of the normal human being. Actually, the education over there, in a way, I think better than in the United States. Why? The program was based not on the lower person, but the higher. Like in the United States, the program based on the lower developed brain. And if you feel yourself better, you go to better school, for example, yeah? Over there, the program based on higher intelligence. Or you have to to get to that, or you have to take tutors, or you fell back, that's it, I don't know. You can stay a couple years in the same grade. But for education, it was a very high demand. And by the way, in that country, in the communist country, they're always afraid of any society. You cannot have, because society, it's mean concentration of people, concentration of brain. And what they're thinking, nobody knows. So society was not permitted. You can control society. You can control only individual. This is why they don't like when even like 4 or 5 people gathering together. They don't like it. It's not permitted. Because it's difficult to keep control. And communist society, socialist society, everything about control. Keep people under control. Your mind, what you're thinking, what you're doing, how you're living, what you're going to think tomorrow. It's a control. When I lived in the Soviet Union, it was an iron curtain. About Western culture, the Western culture practically, officially did not go through. We had some movies. The only literature, foreign literature, being translated in Russian language, we could read. But again, even that, for example, literature which has been written in English language, now when I came to US and I read it in original, I saw the difference in translation because translation was censored also. Cigarette, yes, I did smoke. Because in 60, we did not have drugs though, but cigarette, well, I was a girl of my time, and I started smoking, I think when I was 17. My daughter never smoked. And 17 and a half, like before 18 I started smoke, and I quit when I was 40. God bless America.